Hi all, welcome to a new video on cloud provisioning and governance with Azure. ServiceNow cloud provisioning and governance allows you to access, provision and manage the lifecycle of your cloud resources. You can integrate directly with cloud providers like Azure, AWS, GCP, VMware, or you can also integrate indirectly with configuration management products like Ansible, Terraform, Chef, and so on. In this video, I'll be trying to provision a cloud computing stack in Azure from ServiceNow. A stack can be a virtual machine, a storage system, or a web application. During cloud deployments, it's often required to provision cloud resources, and ServiceNow's cloud provision governance allows you to seamlessly integrate with different cloud providers. Apart from provisioning, it also handles the governance with approvals, quota limits, permissions, and budget handling. For demo purpose, I'll be requesting a virtual machine in Azure using ARM templates. All cloud providers support infrastructure as a code and provides templates in different formats to provision resources. Azure uses ARM or Azure Resource Management templates which are based on JSON and allows you to deploy this infrastructure code either through PowerShell or Azure CLI or using REST APIs. Azure provides a Visual Studio extension to create and deploy ARM templates. The Azure portal also provides a UI to create and manage these templates. ARM templates are created using JSON. You can see the sample structure for the specific ARM template. This template is used to deploy a storage account, an app service plan, and a web app. If you look further into the structure, you can see that it contains different objects. For example, parameters. Parameters are different input which the template requires. For example, project name is the parameter which is of type string. It can have a minimum length as 3 and max length as 11. You can also see another parameter which is an input variable called as location, which is of type string and it accepts location values. You can also see another object called as resources. This is an array object which contains the list of all resources which are requested. So within this resource array, you can see that we are requesting a storage account. We are also requesting a server farm, and again we are also requesting a website as a part of this. So this is a sample template structure which is used to request resources from Azure. In ServiceNow, cloud provisioning provides a catalog item UI to consume these templates, and upon submission of request, it uses the cloud APIs to deploy these resources. I'll be using a standard template provided by Azure to provision a Windows virtual machine from ServiceNow. You can explore more about creation of ARM templates using the link provided in the description. So let's try to generate a ARM template from Azure portal here. You can log into the portal and search for template. You would see an option to deploy a custom template. You can click on that and a custom deployment template page would open. If you want, you can build your own template from scratch. You should be aware of the template structure to generate it from scratch. Once you have generated your custom template, you can save it within Azure portal. You can also download it for your use. Coming back to the custom deployment page, there are also a set of common templates available. For example, you have a template to create a Linux virtual machine, to create a Windows virtual machine. You also have a template to create a web app here. There are also different templates which you can access from GitHub. For example, if you search in the quick start template here, this brings up the list of all templates which are loaded in GitHub by different users. For example, I can select a specific template for, let's say I select a template for WordPress. The template is available. You can see the other details. You can also get more information regarding this template which is loaded into GitHub. For now, I'll be selecting a standard template to create a Windows virtual machine. So I'll click on this. I need to input the details for my template. So I would be selecting some of the details like a resource group, which I would select as provision app group. The region has populated by default. I need to provide an admin username and password which would be used to access the specific virtual machine. So I am providing the same. I need to enter a DNS label prefix which I would enter as test VM. The public IP name is the resource name for my public IP. I'll keep it as default. I would select the OS version as 2019 data center, and I also need to change the location to Australia Central, as this is the default value for that location. And I can also change my VM name as a simple or a test VM. Once all details are entered, I'll click on review and create, and Azure portal would try to validate my template details. Once the validation is passed, you can either create this template and deploy it to Azure, or you can come back to the basics tab and you can edit this template and download it for your usage. Before downloading, you can have a quick check at the different parameters here. You can see the different inputs like admin username, admin password. You can also see the OS version, different choice options available for your OS. You can also see the location value here. There is a specific error associated with this template generation, which is regarding the location. You can see the default value for location has not changed here, so I need to change this manually. I searched in the Azure community and I was able to find that this was a specific error associated with template generation, so I have changed this value manually. I would also need to change the value for the DNS label, which is found somewhere here. So you can see the DNS label has also not changed the value. So I would change this to VM test. Then after the change, I would download this and it would be downloading a JSON file here. I will also save this template so I can access this for later usage. Cloud discovery is a prerequisite for cloud provisioning. It discovers all your data centers and cloud resources which are used during provisioning. You can watch my previous video on cloud discovery using the link provided in the description. The initial steps required to be set up for cloud provisioning is already mentioned in my previous video for cloud discovery. There is an additional access change required for provisioning in Azure. For this, I need to change the access permission of ServiceNow Cloud Discovery app in Azure to allow creation of resources. I'll go back to my home page here. Then I would go to subscriptions module. Within the subscription module, I'll go to my free trial subscription and I need to change the access control within the subscription. So what I need to do here is I need to add additional role assignment. Previously, for cloud discovery, we had only given reader access. Now we need to give the additional access to manage all resources. So for this, we need to grant owner access. So I need to select the role as owner. I'll click on next. Then I need to select the member. The member would be my ServiceNow Cloud Discovery application. I need to select this and click on select button and then click on next and review and assign. This would be granting the owner access to my ServiceNow Cloud Discovery application, and it would allow the specific application to request or create new resources in Azure. I'll now try to upload my ARM template in ServiceNow. Going back to my ServiceNow instance, you need to ensure that the cloud provisioning and governance plugin is installed before you start working with this. You will be able to see this specific application once the plugin is activated. This application provides two different portals for managing your cloud resources. The cloud user portal is accessible to your end users, and cloud admin portal is used for administrating your cloud resources. So I've opened the cloud admin portal here. On the left navigation, you can see the different menu options associated with your cloud admin portal. If I go to manage, you can see the list of service accounts which we have configured. During cloud discovery, we had configured a specific credential for accessing cloud resources. We have also configured a cloud service account for Azure. These two configurations were done as a part of our cloud discovery. You can also see that we have discovered different data centers as a part of cloud discovery. An additional step that you need to do for cloud provisioning is to create a cloud account. For this, you need to go to the cloud accounts menu here, click on this menu link, and it would show you a list of cloud accounts available. I have already created a cloud account for Azure. You need to make sure that your cloud account is published. Within your cloud account, you can also select the required data center that you would do provisioning with. For this cloud account, I have selected Australia Central as the data center. Once you select the data center, you would be able to see all the cloud resources which are part of this data center. You can also see the resource limits which are associated with this data center. For example, the VM count, the storage size, the CPU count, and so on. You can also use this Discover Now options to discover all resources available within this data center. Once your cloud account is published, you can come to the design option here and click on the cloud catalog item. This will provide you an extended catalog UI to enable provisioning of cloud resources. I'll now try to create a catalog item to provision my Windows VM server. So I would specify the name here as Azure Windows VM. The workflow is default blueprint request. It's not recommended that you modify this workflow. On the right side, you need to select a template type, which is ARM template in our case. We use ARM template to provision Azure resources. If you need to provision AWS, then you could use the CloudFormation template. If you need to provision GCP resources, you'll need to activate a specific plugin for that. If you check the source, you have different options like Cloud Template, which is used mainly for Azure and AWS. If you need to use external configuration providers like Terraform, Ansible, or Chef, then you need to select the option as Configuration Management Template. Right now, I have not activated any associated plugin, so the provider type is empty. I'll need to set up this configurations first, then I would be able to see a value for this provider type. For now, I'll come back to the source as Cloud Template, and I would select my template as ARM template. I need to give a short description for this as provision of Windows Server VM, and once I enter these details, I would submit this request. Once your cloud catalog item is created, the next thing that you need to do is to upload your ARM template. For this, you can scroll down to the bottom. There is a related tab called as Cloud Template where you can upload your template. You can click on New. Once you click on New, a new form is open where you could add the template. There are different options to ingest your template. You can either paste the template body directly into this field, or you can upload a template file, which is the file which we downloaded from Azure, or you can also specify an import URL for this. Right now, since I have the template, I would try to copy the template body from the file. So I have opened the template here. I'll copy the complete structure here and then I would paste it in my body and I'll try to save it. If there are any errors associated with the template structure, it would be displayed in it. Right now there seems to be a specific error which is highlighted here. Minimum length is only allowed for string, secure string. So there is a minimum length added for the admin password which is incorrect as per ServiceNow, but this is not incorrect according to Azure. I think there is some sync issues here, but to fix this I would just remove the minimum length from the admin password here. I just remove it and I just save it again. Let's see if the validation passes now. So the validation has now passed in ServiceNow. You can see the status draft and validation status is success. Once your validation is completed, you can click on activate here, which would be activating your template. ServiceNow also provide an option to manage a different version of this template. So if you have a new template version, you can add that under your template list. The template is now active. If I scroll down to the bottom, you can see the list of variables that has been created. You can see admin username, admin password. You can see variables like the OS version, and it has a default value as 2019 data center. If I go back to the catalog item, you could see that there are two variable sets that are created. One is to collect the general information, the second one to collect provision information. You also have two different tabs here to specify any operations before and after provision. These are operations that can be an API call, or you can also even execute flows or workflows as a part of this. I will now activate this catalog item. I'll click on active and save it. The catalog item would now be accessible to the users. So in order to request this, I'll go to the user portal here. So this is a user portal where users like a developer could come and request for a new stack. So I would be selecting an option to launch a new stack here from the catalog. Once I click this, I can see the list of all available cloud catalog items. I'll select Azure Windows CM. This is the catalog item we have set up. You can see a different kind of UI for this catalog item, which has two sections. One is the general info. The cloud account is automatically populated here. You can also see the location is by default selected as Australian Center. I need to provide a stack name for this. So I would give the name as VM test 1. I also need to select certain attributes like user group, which is the actual group requesting this stack. Depending on the quota limit for the specific group, the provision workflow would be executing. I can also select other attributes like application. So let me select a sample application here. Cost center. I would select the cost center as IT, and I also need to provide a resource group name. I don't want to create a new resource group, so I would select this option as no, and it would display me all the resource groups which are available in my Azure cloud. So I would select provision app group 1 as my resource group. All these attributes like user group, cost center, application would be created as tags in your Azure portal, and these tags would be tagged to all the resources which are created as a part of this provision. Once I've entered the details, I'll click on next, which would show me all the provisioning details. So these are the variables that have come up from my template. I'll enter a username here, which would be test user. I need to enter a password here, which I would enter here. I need to re-enter my password again, that I would be entering here. I can also select a different OS if required, but I'll be going with the 2019 data center. Once I enter all the details, I'll click on submit, and it would start to execute my workflow, which would trigger the provisioning. So you can see the request has been created and provisioning is currently in progress here. You can also see the different stages the request is going through. First, it would be applying the blueprint provision policy, which is a part of the blueprint workflow. Then it would be checking the quota capacity limit available to that specific group or user. Once the limit or quota for resources is checked, it would start to deploy the stack here. So you can see now it's in deploying stack phase. Let's wait until this request has been deployed. So now the request has been completed. You can see that deployment has been completed successfully. You can also see additional stack status here, which is the provisioning status of the specific deployment. If you go to the comments or work notes for the specific request, you can see that the last comment is deployment successful. If there are any errors associated with this deployment, a work note would be added in the specific request. Also, a remediation task would be created for the user who requested it, so that user can take action on it. You can also see the request details within this tab here. So if I scroll down, you can see all the variables which are part of my request here. Now if I go back to status here, you have an option to view the stack details. If I click on this, it would take you to my stack which was deployed now, and you can see all the resources which are associated with this stack. So we have VM test 1, which was our stack. You can see the resources created as a part of it, like the public IP. You can see the VM server that was created as a part of it. You can also see the disk that were created as part of it. So all the resource details and the properties regarding the stack would be stored within the stack list here, and you can access it anytime. If I go back to my Azure portal and if I click on my virtual machines, I can see a new virtual machine is created here with the same name as my simple VM. If I open it, You can see that all the details which I entered in my service request is populated here. The operating system is same as 2019 data center. You can also see the disk size which I have requested. You can also see that DNS name prefix which I added in my request has been populated here as VM test. Also, you can see the different tags that are created as a part of this request. So if I click on this more link, you can see all the associated tags like the user group, the application which I selected, the ServiceNow instance. These tags can be used to create service map of the resources within this application stack. Coming back to the user portal, as a user, you have different options available within this portal. You can launch different stacks which are available within the catalog. There is also an option to manage the lifecycle of different stacks. You can execute actions like deprovisioning, starting a VM server, and stopping a VM server. You can also view all the activities related to your request, task, and change requests within this option. Additionally, as a user, you can also view all the cloud resources which are accessible to you. Going back to the admin portal here, as an admin, you also have additional option to govern your cloud provisioning. Within the left navigation, there is a menu option for governance. If you click on it, you can see different options available within it. Policies can be used to set up approvals for your workflow or any related part of your process. You can also control the quota of your resources for different options like VM count, CPU count, either at group level or at user level. There is also an option to govern the budget. Depending on the budget period for a specific group or user, you can set up the max budget which is allocated to the specific group. There is also an option to control access permission to different tables of cloud management. You can restrict access at group level and grant each access either read, write, or delete access. While deploying application stacks, the cloud discovery along with service mapping allows you to automate generation of service maps for these applications that are requested in the cloud based on the tag-based discovery. This kind of automation along with the cloud events lets any customer to make use of the complete potential of all products within the item suite, and it gives them the best value towards their business. That's it regarding cloud provision. Thank you all for watching.